I need you to understand that what happened this morning is not just a diplomatic blunder. It is the final nail in the coffin of American global leadership. We have woken up to a world that is fundamentally different than it was 24 hours ago. The headline you are seeing, "Furious World Leaders Blast Trump," does not even begin to scratch the surface of the catastrophe that just unfolded. Donald Trump has committed a fatal insult against our oldest, most loyal allies, and the backlash is instantaneous. It is devastating, and it is potentially irreversible. We are watching the complete dismantling of the Western alliance in real time, caused by the ego and the malice of one man who is currently occupying the Oval Office. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, our closest partner on this planet, has officially described the president's comments as appalling and false. Do not gloss over those words. In the polite world of international diplomacy, that is the equivalent of a declaration of war. It is a scream of outrage from the people who have stood by our side through world wars and terror attacks, and who have finally decided that they cannot stand by Donald Trump. Let us be very clear about what triggered this global explosion. Donald Trump stood at the podium this morning, red-faced and shaking, and he did not just insult a policy, he insulted the very character of the free world. He looked into the camera and accused the leaders of the European Union, the United Kingdom, and Canada of being conspirators against his administration. He called them weak vassals of a dying continent and, in a moment of true insanity, accused them of harboring the very terrorists we are supposed to be fighting together. This is the fatal insult. It is fatal because you cannot walk this back. You cannot apologize for calling the president of France an enemy of the state. You cannot erase the footage of the American president threatening to cut off intelligence sharing with the Five Eyes Alliance, the very network that keeps you and your family safe from attacks, because he feels personally slighted by their criticism of his domestic policies. You need to understand the context here. Why did he do this? Why now? He lashed out because the world is watching what is happening in Minnesota. The world is watching Operation Metro Surge. The European Parliament recently passed a resolution condemning the human rights violations of the Trump administration's surveillance state. They called out the use of Clearview AI. They called out the federal funding freeze as a tool of authoritarianism. Donald Trump could not handle the truth. He could not handle the fact that the world sees him not as a strong man, but as a criminal. So, in typical Trump fashion, he decided to burn down the House rather than listen to the criticism. He decided that if the world will not bow to him, he will try to destroy the alliances that have kept the peace for 80 years. I have sat in the Situation Room. I have looked these world leaders in the eye. I know them. They are not radical leftists. They are pragmatic leaders who care about stability. For them to issue a joint statement condemning the President of the United States as a liar, which is what false means, signals a total collapse of trust. They are terrified. They are terrified because they see a United States that is no longer a partner, but a rogue state. They see a president who is willing to sacrifice the security of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, because his feelings were hurt. This is not America first. This is America alone. And make no mistake, being alone in a world of rising dictatorships is a death sentence for our prosperity and our security. I want you to think about the economic implications of this insult. The stock market is already reacting. The Dow Jones is plummeting because the markets hate instability. When the President of the United States insults the European Union, our largest trading partner, he is threatening the jobs of American workers. He is threatening the farmers who sell their goods overseas. He is threatening the tech sector. He is threatening your 401k. The fatal insult is not just words, it is money out of your pocket. The European leaders are already talking about sanctions. Yes, you heard me correctly, sanctions against the United States. They are discussing freezing the assets of the Trump administration officials responsible for these insults. Imagine the humiliation of living in a country where the government officials are treated like pariahs on the global stage. And where is the Republican Party? Where are the so-called hawks who claim to care about national security? They are silent, or worse, they are cheering him on. J.D. Vance, the man who is supposed to be the sensible alternative, is likely whispering in Trump's ear that this is a good thing. They want isolation. They want to cut ties with the democratic world because the democratic world holds them accountable. They prefer the company of dictators. Notice who Donald Trump did not insult today. He did not insult Vladimir Putin. He did not insult Kim Jong-un. He saved his vitriol for our friends and saved his praise for our enemies. That tells you everything you need to know about whose side he is on. He is doing the work of the Kremlin from the White House briefing room. The appalling and false statement is a historic turning point. It means that from this moment forward, the United States cannot rely on its allies for help. If there is a terror threat detected in London that targets New York, will the British intelligence services share it with a president who just called them enemies? We hope so, because they are professionals. But Donald Trump is making it harder for them to help us. He is gambling with your life. He is gambling with the safety of our cities. He is severing the fiber optic cables of trust that connect us to the rest of the civilized world. And he is doing it because his fragile ego cannot handle the fact that he is failing at home. This behavior fits the pattern we have discussed before. It fits the pattern of the breakdown we saw 48 hours ago. A man who loses it in a courtroom, a man who screams at his own staff, is exactly the kind of man who would insult the world stage. He is spiraling. He is losing his grip on reality. In his mind, everyone is an enemy. The judge in Minnesota is an enemy. The vice president is an enemy. And now the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is an enemy. This is clinical paranoia projected onto geopolitics. It is the psychology of a bunker. He is pulling the United States into the bunker with him, sealing the doors and telling us that the outside world is out to get us. But the outside world is not out to get us. They are out to get him. I want you to listen to the tone of the response from Germany. The Chancellor did not just disagree, he expressed profound concern for the future of American democracy. That is not diplomatic speak. That is a warning siren. When Germany is worried about the state of your democracy, you need to pay attention. They know what it looks like when a democracy fails. They know what it looks like when a demagogue takes over and starts blaming foreigners and allies for his own failures. They are seeing the echoes of history in Donald Trump's rhetoric, and they are screaming at us to wake up before it is too late. The fatal insult also distracts from the chaos of his administration. Remember, this comes right after J.D. Vance admitted to chaos in the Department of Homeland Security. This comes right after the revelations about Clearview AI. Donald Trump is a master of distraction. He knows that if he starts a fight with Europe, the media will talk about that instead of talking about the fact that he is shooting students in Minnesota. He is using international conflict as a smokescreen to cover up his domestic crimes. He is willing to destroy our foreign policy just to get a different headline. It is cynical, it is reckless, and it is evil. We need to talk about what this means for the future. If this rift is not healed, the world will move on without us. The European Union, China, and other powers will form new alliances that exclude the United States. The dollar will lose its status as the world reserve currency because no one wants to trust a financial system run by a madman. Your purchasing power will vanish. The cost of goods at the store will skyrocket. This is not abstract. This is the direct result of having a president who behaves like a petulant child on the global stage. We are looking at the end of the American century, and it did not end with a bang. It ended with a tweet and a fatal insult. You are seeing the leaders of the free world turn their backs on Donald Trump, but they are also waiting. They are waiting to see what we, the American people, will do. They are holding their breath. They want to know if this is who we really are. Are we the country of Donald Trump, the country of insults and isolation? Or are we the country that liberated Europe, the country that built the peace, the country that stands for something? They've not given up on us yet, but they have given up on him. It is up to us to show them that there is a difference. I am asking you to look at the footage of his speech. Look at the hate in his eyes. Look at the sweat on his brow. That is not strength. That is weakness masquerading as aggression. A strong president does not need to insult his allies to feel big. A strong president builds coalitions. A strong president leads by example. Donald Trump is incapable of doing any of those things. He is a wrecking ball, and today he swung that wrecking ball directly into the pillars of the West. The Republicans in Congress who are refusing to condemn this are cowards. They are afraid of his base. They are afraid of his mean nicknames. But while they cower in fear, the world is burning. They are letting him dismantle the legacy of Ronald Reagan, the legacy of Dwight Eisenhower, the legacy of every Republican who believed in peace through strength. Donald Trump believes in chaos through weakness, and every senator who stays silent today is complicit in the danger that this insult brings to our shores. We must demand that Congress censure the president for these remarks. We must demand that the Senate Foreign Relations Committee hold hearings on the damage done to our intelligence sharing networks. We cannot just let this slide. We cannot normalize the destruction of our alliances. If we do not speak up, the world will assume that we agree with him. And if the world assumes that we agree with him, then we truly are alone. Imagine the scene at the G7 summit next month. Will Donald Trump even be invited? Can you imagine the President of the United States being disinvited from the table of world leaders? That is where we are heading. We are becoming a pariah state. We are becoming the crazy uncle that no one wants to invite to Thanksgiving dinner because he knocks over the table and screams at the guests. But this crazy uncle has nuclear weapons. That is the terror of the situation. This is why I need you to stay engaged. I know it is heavy. I know it feels like every day is a new crisis. But that is the strategy. They want to overwhelm you. They want you to numb out. Do not let them. Feel the outrage. Feel the anger of our allies. Let it motivate you. We have to take this country back from the brink. We have to show the world that Donald Trump is an aberration, not the new normal. The fatal insult was intended to show his power, but it has only revealed his impotence. He screams because he cannot lead. He insults because he cannot inspire. And the world leaders who are blasting him today are doing what the Republican Party has failed to do for a decade. They are telling him the truth. They are telling him that he appalling. They are telling him that he is false. And they are telling him that he is not fit to sit at the head of the table. We stand with our allies. We stand with the truth. And we stand against the dark isolationist nightmare that Donald Trump is trying to impose on us. This is a fight for the soul of the world, not just the soul of America. And we cannot afford to lose. Watch the news today, but watch it with the knowledge that this is the death throes of a failed presidency. He has burned his bridges. Now he is trapped on an island of his own making, and soon the water will rise. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and remember that the majority of the world is with us, not with him. We are not alone as long as we refuse to be silent. The insult was fatal to his credibility, but it must not be fatal to our democracy. That is the line we must hold.